An homage to horror films and being a sweet original flick. Can't go wrong with that. Cabin in the Woods. So Cabin in the Woods is a horror film about a bunch of teenagers that go out and go out for a cabin for the weekend, you know, just to have a good time. So there's gonna be a lot of drinking and sex and weed smoking and all that. And you're like, oh wait, I've seen this movie done a million times before and they're never that good. But there's a twist behind this movie. The idea is not just that these teenagers are going out into this cabin and a bunch of horrific stuff is gonna happen to them, like a slash is gonna come out of nowhere, or zombies gonna come out of nowhere, or any of this is gonna come out of nowhere. No. The idea of this movie is that the idea of horror movies, why these things happen, is actually given a reason in Cabin in the Woods. These kids are actually being offered up as sacrifices for these gods that are, you know, need to be appeased with sacrifices. So they use monsters and zombies and all this stuff to sacrifice these children instead of just plainly killing them off, which is, some would say, a lame way to explain the horror movies as they are, but it really, Cabin in the Woods deconstructs these horror movies down to the bone of why this happens. It even makes fun of some of the ideas, some of the characters that you would normally see in a horror movie. It makes fun of his own characters. It explains why the blonde is so dumb. It explains why the jock can only think about sex. It can explain this and this and this. It explains it all. It's actually kind of funny to see how it's all explained. And how these creatures come about to haunt or kill these kids. And on top of all that, these kids have no idea what's going on, so they're trying to figure all this out while trying to get away with their tails tied behind their back, you know, staying alive. Now, first, I was very lenient to watch this movie. The second I saw the trailer for it, I was like, these two guys are just jumping around all happy in a control room. I mean, you've seen the trailer, how it was like. So I was like, I'm not going for this movie, because I thought it was just a horror movie. But apparently, no. This is not a horror movie. It pays tribute to horror movies, and it pretty much just explains them in its own original way, which is pretty cool for a movie like this. I have never seen anything like this before, which actually encouraged me to buy and watch it. You'll love it. There are so many different horror references in here. There's references to Hellraiser, The Collector, there's references to all sorts of horror movies, but you gotta be a fan, man. To truly enjoy this movie, you have to know and love horror movies, or else you're gonna be like, what the hell did I just watch? This is kind of stupid. Of course it's meant to be stupid. The teenagers are supposed to be, parts of this are supposed to be, but it all adds up to this one thing. My favorite part is near like the end when they unleash every single monster these people have against each other, and then you see all the references. You see one for Hellraiser, you see one for The Collector, you see like all these different monsters. You're like, oh, that's making fun of that, or hey, that's just like that movie. It was really fun calling all these things and these little jokes people would throw in. Well, not jokes like, but things people would say that they referenced to earlier in the movie. This movie's a blast. You're gonna love seeing it. If you love horror movies, then you gotta see this one. I mean, sure, it's not top of its class horror, but it's not meant to be top of its class. It's meant to have all these things. And that's why you can forgive it. Sure, it may be a little stupid at some points, and the plot may not make the best of sense. Like, really, you're going with this here and there. But you can forgive all of this because this movie gives you what you wanted to see. One, homage to horror movies in an original way. And it's actually got a pretty decently legit cast. Chris Hemsworth from Thor's in this movie. I was like, wow, he's in this movie? Cool. I will say that I will give it the rating that I will buy this movie if you are a major horror fan. You can't go by that rating, say, it's a pretty good flick and I check it out on Netflix. Then guys, that was my review of Cabin in the Woods. I will see you guys next time on the next After the Show.